minus. Carbonate, it comes from camel because there are, almost wrote camel, because there are 3 consonants in camel, 2 vowels. So the 3 consonants mean 3 oxygens, and the 2 vowels are 2 minus. And then sometimes people are like, how do we know it's a minus? They're all minus except for one, the ammonium, NH4+. Okay, this one comes from Nick. Do you remember that? And it's found in groundwater, so they use it to cure meats. They use it. It turns into. It'll grow in a lot of vegetables, different things that you have to avoid, like onions, if you get migraines, because it can trigger migraines. Nitrates. I just said it. What is it? Nitrate. Good. So Nick has 3 consonants, so it has 3 oxygens. Nick only has 1 vowel, so it's a minus 1. And then I wanted to do, is this a polyatomic right here? No, so this one is what? If it's not a polyatomic, it always ends in IDE. So I actually read your discussions when you do the video discussions, and I noticed that some people were bumping on that. They're like, polyatomics end in IDE. Polyatomics usually don't end in IDE. Usually they end in 8, or we don't have it up here, ite. But usually there's only like 3, and they're poisonous polyatomics that end in IDE. So most of the polyatomics are 8 or ite. IDE means it comes just from the periodic table. They call it a monoatomic because even though you could have like 2 of these or 3 of these when you balance it with the metal, there's only 1 type. It's not bonded to oxygen or anything else. Okay, define covalent, and that means the same thing as molecular. What is that? How would you define that? Or you can just say, what makes up covalent? 2 nonmetals or a metalloid nonmetal, because they have covalent bonds. What does that mean, a covalent bond? They share electrons. When we get to chapter 10, we'll talk more about that. They share electrons. So, right now we just know that they're nonmetals. Metalloids, they don't come right out and say this. I think they're kind of on the fence with those metalloids, because every now and then a metalloid's an ionic. But there's also something else about the covalent/molecular. They always use what in the name? Yeah, you guys are mouthing it. Prefixes, like mono, di, tri. We don't use mono a lot, though, because we're lazy. We drop 1s off of everything. So we say di, tri, tetra. That's the only time. And these are only like 5% of what you'll name. 90% of what you'll name are ionic. And what makes something ionic? Metal and nonmetal. The one exception is it could also be NH4 plus nonmetal. That's the only exception, the only polyatomic really that forms bonds that it's very common that will react with a nonmetal. But see how it has an ion? So it's the one exception to the metal rule. Because it's an ion, it still forms ionic bonds. Okay, what is the charge on each? Now you know oxygen, because it's in group 6A, or 16. And everything in that group that's a nonmetal tends to have what charge? -2. Yeah, so you need your periodic table, and you'd see that this is -2. So each one of these is -2. How many do we have, though? 5. So what's my net charge? -10, which means my net charge here has to be +10. But how many do I have? 2. So what's each one? +5. Yeah. So each individual has to, you multiply it by how many individuals to get your net charge, +10, -2 times 5, oh, I put times 10, times 5 gives you 10. And so the +10 plus the -10 equals 0. And the reason that we do that in this one is this is a metal. And the reason that they're even asking is this is a special kind of metal. What kind of metal? Transition. So if we wrote it out, we would say vanadium 5 oxide. Like that. So with the transition metals, they can have different charges. You always tell in Roman numerals what the charge is. You don't have to memorize this because you can always use this to figure it out. So I don't know of anyone who's ever memorized the charge on all of these because you know that charge periodic table I gave you? Yeah, it showed 2, right? Some of them have 10 different charges. They just showed the 2 most common. That's why no one sits down and memorizes those.